So we're on our final page. There's only two questions here, question 11 and 12. 11 says, write the equation of a line that's perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3x plus 8, and it passes through the point 6, 12. So when we see this word perpendicular, right, we know that if I know the slope of this line, the slope of a line perpendicular to it would be the opposite reciprocal. Fortunately, this is super easy because I can see that the slope of this line is equal to negative 3. So any line that would be perpendicular to that line would have to have a slope that would equal positive 1/3. So my slope is 1/3. And now, now that I know my slope has to be 1/3, I'm just going to use the x and y values from this point to figure out the y-intercept. So again, I start with y equals the slope times x and then plus my y-intercept. So y in this case is the number 12. Right, there's y, and that equals my slope, positive 1/3, times x, which is 6, and then plus b. So you can see everything's gone except for b, and I just need to solve this equation for b. So 12 equals 1/3 times 6 is 2, plus b, and if I take away 2 from both sides, I see that my y-intercept b occurs at 10. So I know the slope of my line, it's 1/3, and I know the y-intercept is at 10. So the equation of a line that's perpendicular to the line y equals negative 1/3 x plus 8 and goes through 6, 12 would be y equals 1/3 x plus the number 10. And I like to just kind of take a look at this and make sure we understand what's going on. So we were given a point at 6, 12, and we were given the line y equals negative 3x plus 8, and we're asked to come up with the exact line that goes through this point, but it makes a right angle with the line that we're given. Just by way of review, if you look at this has a y-intercept at 8 and a slope of negative 3. So from at 8, we're going down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. You can see this is this line perfectly. Our solution was 1/3 x plus 10, and if I was to enter that value, you can see I get exactly this line right here, right? This is the line y equals 1/3 x plus 10. Got a y-intercept at 10. I'm going up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. The question may occur, are these really perpendicular to each other? Well, one of the things you could always do is you could get the intersection of two objects. So I could intersect this object and this object, and I would put a small point there. And if I put an extra point here, somewhere on this line, I can now measure that angle. And you can see when I asked GeoGebra to measure it, it told me, oh, it's a right angle. It's got 90 degrees, and I put the little tiny square there. So this solution, right, y equals 1/3 x plus 10, does exactly what we were asked to do. It's the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this given line, and it definitely goes through this point, 6, 12. Okay, final question. It says solve each equation for x and check your solution. We'll probably check our solutions algebraically here. So first thing I'll probably do is eliminate these parentheses by using the distributive property. So we've got 3x minus 28 and then minus 14x. Notice that we're distributing this negative 7 to both of these terms, and that equals the opposite of x plus 2. If I combine these like terms, I get negative 28 and then minus 11x, and that equals a negative x plus 2. I think next I'll go ahead and I'm going to add 11x to each side, so that's negative 28 equals, that would become a positive 10x plus 2. I'll take away 2 from both sides. I get negative 30 is 10x, and therefore it looks like negative 3 is what x will be. So x is negative 3. And I'm going to do a numerical check here. So I'm going to plug this value of negative 3 into both the left side and the right hand side, and just ensure that I get the same value on the left and the right hand side. So I've got 3 times my solution of negative 3, and then minus 7 times open parentheses 4 plus 2 times negative 3. I'll close the parentheses and press equals. And you see I got the number 5. And yeah, if I plug that in on the other side, I've got the opposite of a negative 3, and then plus 2 is equal to positive 5. So when x is negative 3, both the left-hand side and the right-hand side equal 5. Because 5 does equal itself, it's definitely a solution. Let's look at B. On B, I'll go ahead and combine my like terms. So I get that negative 6 times x plus 3 equals 0. We can take away 3 from each side. Negative 6 times x equals a negative 3. Therefore, x would be negative 3 divided by negative 6. So x is the number positive 1/2. And again, let's check that numerically. It should make the right-hand side become, or the left-hand side should equal 0 when I plug that in. I think you can see that it already is. I'll just take negative 5 times, and I'll just go 1 divided by 2 in parentheses. So that's negative 5 times 1/2 plus 2, and then a minus 1/2, and then plus 1. And you can see that that gives me exactly the value 0. So yeah, when I plug in 1/2, I get 0 equals 0, so that definitely checks. So that's the last question on the last page of the study team test. Oh, I guess the answer should be written here. X is negative 3, x is 1/2.